All right, let's get our Facebook folks in here and we can rock the show. Get it rolling. Got the wheels spinning. Still spinning one and okay. All right, there we go. Ooh, had run out of breath there on that one. All right, we're live. We're live. It is the 4th of June. We are officially what astronomical summer? Not astronomical. Atmospheric summer. We're here. It's beautiful. I don't know where you're at, but it's been absolutely unbelievable out here in Seattle. Dylan, I know you're in North Central California. How's the weather doing? How you been? You been getting outside? What's good?
Yeah, I've been getting outside a little bit. It's a little cooler in the mornings, but towards midday,
Perfect.
it's getting a little warmer. And I don't do so great in the heat. But
No.
hey, it's summertime, and nothing wrong with that. Gonna go have fun with friends who are visiting. So,
Do you have anything fun coming up this summer? Any visits or places you're going or big trips, concerts?
man, maybe some concerts. I do have a new job. That's why you folks haven't
Yeah.
seen my lovely face here in a while. But yeah, probably some concerts coming up, and just tubing down the river with friends and whatnot, and having a few adult beverages, perhaps.
Well, just a PSA for all the tube floaters out there. Glass is bad. Make sure you're getting the cans out there. No glass on the river. I've had a buddy who we were on a river and he sliced his foot open on a broken bottle. So not what you want to do when you're drunk and away from medical care. And only way to go through it is through the water. And that's on Iowa water too, Dylan. I don't know if I'd want to be sticking an open wound in that by any means, but now that we got out of the way, Eric is having a medical thing this morning. So you guys wish him well in the chat. I won't share too much, but he messaged yesterday at midnight my time. I didn't see it until after I made the show. So it says Eric's joining us today, but he won't be here. And we're hoping that he is feeling comfortable and healthy and everything right now. But appreciate Dylan for joining us. We'll be a little bit quicker today. I do have some obligations here at the time when the show normally ends. So it is, again, like we said, June 4th. Not too much to talk about, luckily. But we do have some fun conversations here. And as this is a live show every Monday and Wednesday morning, you guys are as much, especially during the off season, you guys are as much a driver of the content and the direction of the show as us as well. So, we can get on a tangent. It's the off season. We can stretch our legs a little bit more. But if you have any burning questions, hit us up in the chat. We'll riff. We'll go off of it, especially if you have a super chat. Then we really appreciate that. We'll spend a little time, give it a little extra shine, pour some sugar on that one. But we want to say hello to everybody coming in here. We got our guy Shiloh saying, have a great show today. Nick and Eric, appreciate you, Shiloh. Shiloh's one of the good ones. He's got his German Shepherd. You got to let us know what the name of the dog is, Shiloh. I see it a lot on here. A beautiful German Shepherd. And you post a lot of him on Instagram because, of course, why wouldn't you? But what we do need is an updated picture because Shiloh has incredible locks right now, Dylan. I mean, the flow is good. I don't know what the hair routine. Dylan's got like some of the poof. I got bedhead right now, but we have the thick hair crew here as well. And I always, since my sister's been married and her husband has full beard, completely shaved head, I'm definitely flaunting, loving the long hair as much as I can. And Dylan's got very shiny, luxurious hair. We got to have a hair treatment content in here. No free ads, but appreciate Shiloh coming in here this morning up in Minneapolis. I think great area, Minneapolis. Don't love the Gophers, but PJ Fleck, not my favorite, but appreciate Minneapolis, great city. Brooke L, and Official Music, whichever one, says, good morning, gentlemen. Where do you think our tight end room stands as a whole? What kind of sets do you think we look to deploy on offense this second season for Bo Nix? So great conversation here, Dylan. I've been going for a second here. What do you think about the Broncos tight end room as it stands as a whole?
Well, obviously, adding Evan Ingram to the room is a huge plus for this team, especially because there was really no receiving threat from the tight end position at all last season. Obviously, there was the one Panthers game where you got a couple touchdowns on the tight ends, and National Tight Ends Day, maybe that was just a kind of a gimmick game. But Evan Ingram definitely raises the floor there more so. As a receiver, he's not going to be blocking so much. But I've heard good things about Caleb Lohner. Obviously, it is OTAs, but when it comes to the mental side, that's actually really great to hear. 7th round rookie. I know a lot of people are up in arms about, why would you take a 7th round basketball player and turn him into a tight end? Well, Sean Payton sees something there, and clearly he's on the right track. So I'm very excited for that, and I believe there was a signee out of Ole Miss, a rookie. His name is escaping me, but I've heard quite a bit of good things about him, and he could probably push a Lucas Kroll, a Nate Adkins. We'll see what kind of damage he can do during OTAs and training camp.
Yeah, Caden Preekscorn from Ole Miss. Ole Miss has got some good NIL money down there. We'll see what happens with all of them going forward with Lane Kiffin. But it's a fun team. The SEC is going to be interesting this year. I'm excited for college football to get going. But as far as where the tight end room stands, you have it's still a room very much in flux. The Broncos were rumored to be heavily interested in Mason Taylor this offseason. I know that Eric's really pushed back against the Colston Loveland to Denver conversation. Personally, and I'm not discrediting Eric's sources or anything, but personally, I think that once they realized that Loveland was not going to happen for them, they're like, oh, we never wanted him anyway. Like, I didn't want to date Kate Upton. Why would I want to date her or Sydney Sweeney? That's whatever. I think it's a little bit of that maybe coming from Denver because of Loveland. I think Loveland was there at 20. They'd jump for joy. But I digress. Did you see the Panthers Inside the War Room that was released where they kind of showed a little bit of their process? I think they were really in on Mason Graham, but once he was gone, they're open for trades. And the team that was really looking to trade up for them was from 26 overall. The Rams were trying to get up all the way to 8 overall to go get Colston Loveland. So really interesting stuff. I wish we had all that Inside the War Room stuff just to hear all the conversations going on. It's a lot of fun. I've been appreciating the transparency of the Jaguars. It might go horribly for them with them being open, and we can look back in hindsight, kind of like the Broncos with Hackett. But I digress. As it stands, it's a fine room. I know the Broncos want to be heavier. It's a position that long-term, the Broncos obviously are still looking for a piece that they can build around because it's a very short-term room. Now, granted, in the NFL, it's almost always on a 2 to 3 year perspective for any of these ones, but Broncos are definitely considering a long-term option in the upcoming draft, trying to address it. Ingram is no more than a 1 to 2 year stopgap. I think based on what we've heard coming out of OTAs, he's going to fill the little Jordan Humphrey role as much as any tight end spot. I think you're going to see him more as the big slot with some F tight end and 2 tight end sets, as well as some maybe H-back looks as well, trying to isolate him against a linebacker, if you will, or a safety. We'll see what Sean Payton does. You have a little bit more flexibility there now, but tight end is still a weakness on this team, I would say, overall. It's one of the ones that they haven't invested youth in. Like the Broncos at wide receiver, a lot of young options. It means there's a lot of uncertainty still, but a lot of young options that somebody could emerge. Running back, you got Harvey, you got Estime, you've invested in there. Tight end, not so much. So I think you're stable there. You can field. It's still probably going to be one of the bottom 12 units. We'll see what happens with Everett Ingram this season. I'm not fully banking on the 32, 31-year-old coming off the shoulder surgery, but it's going to be fine. As far as sets, I'm expecting tight sets with them. I'm expecting more Ingram in slot and moving him around a little bit, just trying to isolate him on certain different plays. But tight end still long-term looking for answers. We got Gatorade Gaming coming in here. Good morning, Nick. What's good, Broncos country? Great to see you. Gatorade Gaming. We got Dave Glassman with the hearts. Make sure you guys are coming in and clicking the thumbs up as well if you're joining us on Facebook and YouTube. Chase Wellner, our guy, says, morning, guys. I quit smoking last week, so I appreciate you helping me keep my mind off things. Well, good for you, Chase. I don't know if that's Mary Jane or the tobacco, but either way, that's or whatever else people smoke these days. What is, okay, Dylan, I'm going to ask you something. What is a Zyn?
Zyn, it's like a nicotine pouch that you kind of just sit up in your cheek.
Okay. All right. I know all the Gen Zers love that stuff. I'm so deep in dad duty that I have no idea, but I see people talk about it. I'm like, that can't be good. So there we go. Thank you that's not something you smoke. I didn't know if it was something like that. Jay Ross says, good morning. Something I've been worried about with pass protection from the running back position. Jay Ross, you've come to the right place. I think about every single show talking about running backs. I've been like, who's the running back in pass protection right now? I think it's going to be a make or break, and it even could be the make or break for who makes the final roster spot for the running back room as well. But yeah, Javonte Williams struggled last year in many aspects. One thing he was good at was in pass protection, and he was the key cog in a lot of the pass protection sets that helped the Broncos offensive line become one of the best pass protecting units in football this season. So it's something to watch for sure. Maybe you can negate that with Bo Nix year 2, understanding the offense a little bit more, getting the ball out quickly and negating the running back blocking for a dump off and sending 5 out. I don't know if he's quite there yet as a pass protector. We saw a lot more max protects with high lows to one side of the field with a sprint out from Bo Nix last season versus, the Joe Burrow shotgun 5 out there, get it out quick. That was not really what the Broncos utilized in the pass game, but we'll see. The year 2 of the offense, things can evolve, but pass protection from the running back position is a big question. It seems like it's down the line, but that can make or break a lot of drives and what end up being games as well.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's picking up extra blitzer or chipping or what have you, you need that guy in your offense, and running backs aren't just for running. And we know, like you mentioned, Javonte Williams, he kind of took on the Samaje Perine role, that veteran who's, hey, we're going to have you coming on passing downs. You're either going to block or catch a dump off. And Javonte Williams did that pretty well. Obviously, he's a Dallas Cowboy now, so boo. But we'll see if RJ Harvey can step up there. Obviously, we've heard good things from OTAs. We'll see if that translates to when they put the pads on, because running backs and O-line as well, kind of hard to gauge at OTAs. It's more hearsay and just trying to believe what the coaches are putting out there. But we'll see what we get from Estime as well. So the other guys, not entirely sure if they'll hold up there, but we'll say cautiously optimistic just to stay a little positive in terms of the pass protecting backs there.
Yeah, without a doubt. We'll see how it plays out. We got Michael Ronquillo with the super chat. Thank you so much, Michael. It says, good morning, Nick and Dylan on Broncos for breakfast. Good morning to you, Michael. Hope you're doing well down there in Tucson. We got Jeremy in the house, and good morning. Yay, good to see you, Dylan. I suppose you too, Nick. It's always a pleasure, Jeremy. We got Craig Smith. Good morning, Broncos for breakfast. We got Broncos Tube, given the Rick Sanchez burp here. Hopefully a little drool on the lip too. And we also got String Guy coming in here saying good morning to all. So appreciate everyone coming in, drop in and say hello. And of course, we got to say hello to our sponsor today, DraftKings.
Yeah. Summer is here at DraftKings Casino. New offers and promos are sprouting up daily. Right now, new players can play $5 on anything and get 350 casino spins instantly on a featured slot game. Download the app and sign up with code MileHighPod. Take the featured slot spin and explore thousands of others in the DraftKings game library.
That's right. Check back daily to claim the hottest offers and promos on DraftKings Casino. And don't forget our code MileHighPod. The crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 plus, physically present in Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia only. Void in Connecticut and Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. New customers only. Non-withdrawable casino spins valid for featured games and only expire in 168 hours. See terms at casino.draftkings.com/promos. Ends June 15th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. Again, that's our code MileHighPod. So moving on forward here, I made gosh, Dylan, I'm sorry to wake you up. You're at Western time too? You're in California this morning. You didn't know you were going to do the show with me. News to you, Facebook Messenger was down. And also, as soon as you come on, I'm giving you a chemistry lesson about what a catalyst is from a general chemistry, college 101 perspective. But we're talking about Broncos Catalysts this season. So somebody that can be an accelerant for the reaction and hopefully get the Broncos to where they want to go. So it's not necessarily the most important players. Obviously, Bo Nix taking a step forward, becoming a definitive top 10 quarterback is the best thing that could possibly happen, number one. But people who are maybe on the fringe, unknowns, I guess you could kind of call them breakouts, but I'm looking for somebody just, we already have something rocking here. What can take them even further? And for me, number one here, I think it has to, I'm going to take the floor and sorry, Dylan, I'm sure we have a lot of the same guys, but I was thinking about it. And the number one has to be RJ Harvey for me. The Broncos offense last season, good pass protection. A lot of the advanced metrics for the run blocking were fairly good. I still think that you don't really have always the best power presence as far as moving from Wattenberg. Bowles isn't necessarily the best run blocker compared to the pass protection, at least at the power stuff, and not really the best blocking tight ends either. Troutman, fine. He's not going to get his head up out there as much as he possibly can. But I think for me, it's RJ Harvey. We talked about it already. Broncos had one of the most putrid rushing attacks last season. They're really looking for the ability, just the consistency. I mean, the yards per carry over expectation for the Broncos last season was some of the worst in the league. Javonte Williams was not breaking tackles. He was not hitting explosive plays. And also, we weren't getting much from the pass game from the Broncos running backs as well. Insert RJ Harvey. Now, is he necessarily going to be the type of player who's taking 20, 25 carries a game for the Broncos offense? We got questions about pass protection. We have questions about the pass receiving game as well for him. Not because he can't, just because of the offense at UCF. I know we've seen the OTA highlights where he's out there catching balls, but it's different when the game's going on. But as far as adding just an explosive element to the Broncos offense, something that they've really lacked in the pass game, because everybody's hunting big plays. And if you can get that from your run game, all the better. It doesn't always have to be through the pass. So I think RJ Harvey, second round pick for the Broncos, 60th overall, is my number one catalyst for this entire team. If you can get a little bit more, not even a little bit more, a lot more potency from the running game, explosiveness from the running game compared to the Broncos had last season, we could be talking about a completely different offense. The pressure would take off Bo Nix, how defenses would be playing you, and just getting a few more doubles, triples from the running game every now and then, which last year it just felt absolutely plodding. And I appreciate Julian McLaughlin. I feel like Eric says his name wrong. It's McLaughlin, not McLaughlin. But McLaughlin, I appreciate him and everything he does, but limited player, smaller player, not necessarily a true burner, so to speak, just a little bit more shiftier. RJ Harvey could change that in a big way. So he's my number one catalyst for this team this season.
You're absolutely on the money. I mean, this running game was abysmal, anemic, whatever you want to call it. Couldn't even get a consistent 5 yards, let alone explosive plays. And part of that is the backs not taking advantage. And then the other part was moving away from the running game, whether it was working or not. And that's on Sean Payton as well. But RJ Harvey, like you mentioned, so many explosive plays in college. And sure, will he only be getting maybe 15 touches a game, but he's going to make those count. And that's kind of shows your confidence in Audric Estime there, unless, of course, they trade for someone. Tyler Algier, I'm looking at you. Hey, buddy, let's get you over here. But yeah, and you mentioned with McLaughlin too. Kind of more of a compliment guy, a slasher, as I've heard you, Eric, mention. I think that's a good word for it. But just adding that explosive back in Harvey and adding that dimension that you didn't have, much like, well, even more important than the tight end options from last year. We didn't have that as well, but you are missing that running game dimension. Like you said, take pressure off of Bo Nix, make things easier on him. He can take a step up without throwing 30 to 40 passes a game like he was last year. Let's take some pressure off him. Let's make defenses think a little more and respect the run game instead of, okay, well, the most they're going to get out of running back is a couple yard dump off, and that's about it. So RJ Harvey is absolutely going to take this offense to the next level, especially, God, you got to take advantage of the blocks that were given. The Broncos weren't terrible in run blocking. It's just you didn't have the horses in the stable, no pun intended.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Lonnie in here saying coaching should be advised to play the players of the talented, play their talented players regardless of their rookies or veterans. Remember the mistake last year when they kept Chris Abrams-Drain on the bench and went with Levi Wallace. I think if that game had gone on, you still might have some Chris Abrams-Drain issues as well. The sample was smaller, and obviously Levi Wallace was cooked. But this is an issue with not knowing what guys are on the field in non-rotational positions. I mean, you don't really know how good your backup at cornerback is or the offensive line until you have live bullets flying. So again, this is me definitely the appeal to authority here, because what the Broncos brass have done have batted high enough consistently that I'm not going to question it. Obviously, in hindsight, Levi Wallace was the wrong move. But yeah, I think that's one. My biggest issue with that is that once you see that his legs are dead out there and he's getting cooked, you probably need to make that move quicker. But actually putting out Wallace out there with practice setting and everything, I think they were just thinking that we were talented enough against the Browns. It shouldn't be an issue. And it obviously was an issue. So I agree with you, Lonnie, to a certain extent. But my bigger issue is that you should have been a little bit more reactive to pull the trigger and make the change in that game itself, not starting Wallace out of the gate.
Yeah, Wallace was really off when, made Jerry Jeudy. I mean, he's a very talented player, but made his return to Denver sting quite a bit, even though they did end up losing in the end. He kind of he got his and
Mhm.
showed why, hey, maybe he deserved to be here and probably would have been a pretty good target for Bo Nix, but that's not what we're talking about. Chris Abrams train came in and he was pretty solid. I wouldn't want him out there all the time yet. Obviously, he's a rookie. It's a lot to learn. The jump from college to the pros as a corner is a pretty difficult one. So, and like you mentioned, it's hard to get those guys reps because obviously you're not taking PS2 off the field. Riley Moss was playing fairly well up until his injury, and McLaughlin there, or McMillan rather, uh, up and down last season. Not where you want him to be,
Yeah.
but I mean now with the addition of Zade Barron, not sure where you're going to put him unless Moss has been banged up
Mhm.
since he's been in the league, so there's no guarantees there. It'll be interesting to see if he gets more playing time and how training camp works out for him.
Yeah, we got Mark Reiner. It says, did they put pads on for mandatory minicamp? I don't know what the exact rules are for mandatory minicamp. I know you're allowed to have so many padded practices, so I think they will have some, but not exactly sure. Ryan, good morning to see us. Asking about how the Broncos defense will do against the Chargers and Chiefs. They singular. If it's just one Chief and one Charger, they're going to do quite well. String guy, just giving you a hard time with your punctuation there. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Last year, the Broncos. There was very few teams that the Broncos were out physical along the line of scrimmages, and the games against the Chargers, I felt like were one where they weren't able to enforce their will in the trenches as much, especially the Broncos defensive line. So we'll see what happens with that one. Yeah, some mini pads for minicamp. So we'll see what happens with that. I want to hear your catalyst because we're running a little bit short today. We only got another 10, 15 minutes before we get on out of here. Catalyst for the Broncos. I'm not going to hold you to it, but I would like to get at least one defensive player in here. But you can do offense first because that's obviously there's more options for these catalysts because the Broncos defense was so good last year, and you have a lot more young, exciting unknowns on offense.
You know what? I think I will go to defense just to keep things a little interesting. And like you mentioned, there's so many names that I could pick from, but obvious ones are you got Zach Allen, you got Nick Benito, Greenlaw, Sertan, right? But
Mm-hmm.
one that I think is going to be a little underrated because I very much thought he fit the same role as the guy we signed in Hufanga. Not necessarily the same, but similar, kind of like more box safety and down. Brandon Jones. I'm very interested to see how he's going to play uh, as a higher up safety because I didn't really get that vibe that was kind of his role. They more so had PJ Locke there and to some mixed to bad results. But the secondary play is going to be huge for this team. Obviously, the pass rush was pretty solid, and not that the secondary is bad last year, but PJ Locke very much a liability. And same with Riley Moss when he went down, and even when he came back, not as great. But having a strong secondary is very important, and adding Hufanga back there. But Brandon Jones, especially, like I'm interested to see what he does this year. Just considering now you got two absolute ball hawks in that secondary, and I didn't really expect that going into last season with Brandon Jones. I was like, he's kind of mostly been like a third safety in Miami. Not he started a decent amount, but not necessarily a full time starter. So I think that's going to be a very interesting position there for him.
Yeah, what's interesting is Mike coming in with the spelling of my name. That's an interesting spelling of Nick Laus. Appreciate it. Says good morning, Nick Laus and Dylan. There's many different ways to spell Nicholas, but I've never seen that one. So I hope you're doing well, Mike. The challenge you super chats with different spellings of my name, and you can call me anything for $19.99. I don't care. I have no shame. So I'm not gonna push back Dylan. But for me, I was actually thinking my defensive guy, as Jeremy says here, for being a catalyst is Hufanga. The Broncos spent big money for him, and you never really felt the. I mean, the Broncos defense was obviously great last year, but I didn't really feel like a physical havoc wrecking energy from the Broncos back seven last season. And you put on Hafanga's, what was it, the 2022 season, 2023? And oh my God, like you want to talk about just an absolute menace. The presence that he had out there. I know that there's probably an inherent bias for somebody my age. Maybe you're a little younger, Dylan, but like the Troy Polamalu hair flying around, just warrior energy. You get that a little bit for Hufanga. And I think he is a big time catalyst for the defense. Despite his injuries, the Broncos paid him pretty darn well to come in here. He's been one of the highest just overall havoc rate players in defense during his time with the 49ers. Now, granted, your secondary is only ever as good as the defensive line in front of them. After that, it's tiebreakers. But I think Hufanga is a massive catalyst for the defense this year. And as good as Brandon Jones is, he's like a quiet good. He's in position. He had that safety versus Tampa Bay, and it was all like good and steady from him, but not really a splash oriented. And especially with how much the Broncos, now granted, they didn't play a lot of 7 in coverage, so he had to cover more space. So not as much like zone coverage, eyes on the ball, chances on the football, but didn't really feel like a player who was constantly making these splash plays on the football, breaking on the football. He's just really steady and good. And you need those. Like, that's more important in safety than the other stuff. If you don't have that, then but I think Hufanga is a massive catalyst for this team. I think he can change the energy. He can change the complexion of the back of the defense. And while Barron's also, a massive guy, hands on the football, Dre Greenlaw's going to bring a physicality. I think Hufanga brings the energy, the insanity, the meanness that you want from defense, like the slightly unhinged with the physicality with the ball skills. I think he is a massive catalyst and changes the energy from the defense a lot. We talked about it a lot. I think last night's show as well from the Broncos defense. Don't expect them to break the all-time sack record again this season. I don't do that. They'll probably have a little bit of regression in some areas as well, but you added, I think, stability factors, addressing the floor of the defense by bringing in guys like Hufanga and hopefully more plays on the football and just meanness. He's just got a little bit of crazy off-leash dog to him. So I think Hufanga is the big catalyst there. I know Greenlaw, probably one that we talk about as well. Just like the linebackers been issue. I think Broncos country is a little bit more excited about Greenlaw, but I don't know if Hufanga got straight up paid more than Greenlaw, which is crazy considering the safety market's absolutely fallen off compared to where the linebacker market is at. But the money to me, the type of player, I think the answer is Hufanga.
Yeah, like you mentioned, you need those dogs on defense, and obviously we've had some very good players. PS2, he's the quiet leader, lead by example kind of guy. So you need someone with their hair on fire, and that's absolutely Hufanga. You need a Aqib Talib without the penalties and eye poking, perhaps, but the physicality we've kind of missed with Kareem Jackson, again minus the penalties. You need that guy patrolling the secondary, a real tone setter that, hey, maybe I'm thinking about, hey, if I'm a receiver, I'm trying to catch this ball. I know Hufanga's coming. He's, no matter where he is on the field, he will find his way to the ball, whether it's to hit a wide receiver or if it's popped in the air, he's going to take advantage and create a turnover and get the ball back to his offense. So I think you're absolutely right about Hufanga. He's going to be an absolute game changer for this team, and I'm excited to see what he does next to Brandon Jones and in the same secondary as PS2 and Zadeh Barron.
Yeah. And Mike, you don't have to say sorry. I'm just razzing you. You can call me what you want. We really appreciate the super chat, especially this time of year and with where people are at, economically, with everything. Yeah, I know that's 1999 is incredibly jealous. You can call me Bilbo Baggins for all I care if you're dropping a super chat like that. So God bless you. Hope you're doing well, Mike. Appreciate you coming in. Dominique Martin says, morning, guys. Got to catch you live finally. MHH for life, per usual. Go Broncos. Great pod. Well, this might be the first time Dylan and I have done a solo with each other. We've been on pods before, but I don't know if it's ever been just us two. So
I believe so.
Appreciate you. I don't want to rat you out or anything, but I'm thinking about making a Costco run this week. Anything that I should be looking out for? What's going on? I know Dylan's Costco right now.
Man, I mean, I'm a big, adult beverage guy. You ever have Buzz Balls? They got the big ones.
The big ones, okay.
All right. They're good. Not just to share.
Yeah, I'm wearing an Iowa shirt. I don't know how much sharing will be there, but one more question: how soon is Costco switching to Coke? Because I am ready. I'm not a Pepsi guy. I know that they're supposed to be switching to Coca-Cola at some point.
I don't remember the exact date, but it's pretty soon, within like the next month or so.
Okay, I'll be back. I'll be back for that $1.50.
I'll let you know the day it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And trade secret here, I didn't know. I saw somebody else got it before, but the onions, you got to ask for them now. So make sure you ask for the onions behind the counter for the hot dog. That's the best. So Dylan, I think we got time for another catalyst for you. We gave 2 defensive guys. I was kind of worried we wouldn't have any here, so that's great. Who do you have?
Man, it's hard for me to pick just one in terms of the position group I'm about to go, but I'm gonna go with Devon Vele.
Okay, I
Obviously,
love it. Good. Tell me
uh,
more.
yeah, I was gonna go Mims, but the way he's been used, obviously, they were throwing him at running back at some points. More of a gadget guy, right? But I'm thinking more of like a solid number 2 receiver, someone you can rely on who's gonna catch the ball. And Vele, for the most part, did that last season. Besides the Bills game, he kind of had a drop or two there that was a little suspect. But we need that number 2 receiver to step up. It can't just be Sutton, because even he himself, he'll make the most insane catch you've ever seen and then drop the easiest catch on a slant or a cross or whatever. So having Vele step up would be huge. And I've heard a lot of good things about him and taking that next step. Obviously, he's a little more mature. Shoot, he's only second year in the league. He's older than me already. But it comes with maturity, and he's already got that experience and knows how to run through this offense. To see him step up and be another reliable target for Bo Nix, because he needs that. It was clearly lacking, and I'll reference the Bills game again. There was a lot of things lacking there. You could tell outside of that first drive, not a whole lot going on in terms of consistency, and that's what we're going to need from these receivers this year. And I know many people are upset we didn't sign a big free agent wide receiver, and we took Pat Bryant, who was early by many metrics, but I could see the vision for that, obviously. I think Vele could finish this season as wide receiver too, though.
Yeah. Well, that's very possible. Obviously, there's going to be a big conversation between Vele and Pat Bryant, maybe Mims as well. I guess call me a hater at this point. I need to see it with Troy Franklin beyond what he's shown so far. And there's like Sean Payton rotates wide receivers almost as much as anybody. He has a role, no doubt, as this Z guy who can really stretch a seam. And Mims hasn't shown the ability to do that consistently yet. So we'll see. But I think Vele is definitely a great option for the Broncos. I know he's older. I don't know exactly what the ceiling is for him, but a very useful piece. I think he's got a chance to be as Jeremy predicts him to be a wide receiver too. I think he's got a chance to end up as a solid wide receiver too in the NFL, which for a 7th round pick is a grand slam of a pick, honest to God. But Vele is definitely can be a catalyst. I think the obvious, I'll give one more here. I know we got to fly. I think the obvious catalyst here, just from the change of the Broncos team this last year to this year, is Evan Ingram. The Broncos obviously prioritized tight end a lot. I think that they realized coming out of the combine, talking with league people in the league sources, that they didn't have an option at tight end, and they were not going to have a chance at Tyler Warren or Colson Loveland, which I've heard Loveland was a little higher for them for what they want to use. Loveland did end up going first over those tight ends. And once that happened, they got pretty aggressive with Evan Ingram. And I think Evan Ingram changes the complexion a lot. You talk about how many snaps and targets little Jordan Humphrey had last year and what they were trying to do with Greg Dulcich even early on to unlock him. They needed somebody over the middle of the field. The Broncos were really, can I say piss poor? I'll say piss poor against zone coverage last season. And I think hopefully Ingram finding the soft spots, the chemistry there, the middle of the field stuff will help the Broncos a good bit. So I go with Ingram being a massive catalyst for this team this season, just for the complexion and how they can make the offense more multiple in the areas of the field they can attack.
Yeah, just in general, just give me someone who's going to separate a little bit. We didn't see much of that. So hopefully Ingram can do that. Troy Franklin did, but I mean, if you can't catch, who cares?
Yeah.
And I've been hard on Franklin as well, but again, I'll use the phrase that cautiously optimistic. We'll see how he does this year. But back to Ingram, yeah, definitely a great piece. That security blanket, the Joker, whatever the hell you want to call him. I've heard so many different names through this offseason. I'm sure we'll hear them pop up again more and more. But Ingram is going to be a huge piece for this offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have any final ones here before we wrap up today?
Oh, man. I mean, can we say, if I'm kind of looking at the offensive line, I mean, McGlinchey, his health is kind of been suspect as well. I think that's somewhere I would look, because behind him, got some guys with a little bit of experience, but not anyone I'd really want starting for an extended amount of time.
Would Riley Moss be a catalyst? Just because with the difference in play last season with the injury, and now that you added the jury's out until we see them play. But you added Jade Barron, you had Surtain, you added Greenlaw, Hufanga. The middle of the field might be a little bit more crunched. The offense get to dictate where the ball goes. Riley Moss is, I think he played good last season before the injury, but I think they're going to target him early and often, and they're going to isolate their best players and the designs, the primary read against number 21 there in Riley Moss. So I think he's one. I know it's more offense. We kind of, Pat Bryant's a guy, maybe Audric Estime, some of these guys that can really change the complexion. But if Moss can hold it down with the targets coming his way, that could, you talk about a bottleneck effect for the entire opposing offense.
And we saw just how much worse they got when he wasn't on the field. And then when he came back, like you mentioned, there was a big drop off. So yeah, and honestly, it's just that cornerback 2 spot in general. We're going to see the volatility there.
Yeah, absolutely. And cornerback is a volatile spot. It's one reason that I said it like kind of closer, like the last 2 years of Von Miller. I appreciate it now because the window will close and we're seeing first ballot Hall of Fame greatness right now. I'll say the same thing about Pat Surtain right now. He's 25 years old. Cornerbacks, can really fall off a cliff. Even the great ones. I saw with not great ones too, but like that's one of the positions that like once the margins are so thin on the boundary, and it's not just age, it's injury. The difference with Ryan Moss coming back. Yeah, so appreciate Patrick Surtain right now, the second right now, because 2 more years, 3 more years, I think he's going to be good for a while. He's got the technique and size that should make him at least have a gentler curve versus just being out there and an athlete in space. But those guys can start to dip. We saw, Jalen Ramsey was cock of the walk for age 23 through 26, and then 27 and 28 fell, and he's still good. They are picking on him in the Super Bowl. Again, but who knows? Things can change, but that's just my call to appreciate Surtain right now. And it's another reason that this Broncos window, I think there's a heightened urgency these next few seasons to take advantage of the Bo Nix contract paired with having a cornerback as Surtain's talent in his window. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. Appreciate everyone coming in here, joining us today. Hope everyone's doing well. Have a good week. We got Michael Ronquillo coming in, Mike Givens. Appreciate all you. Make sure you're following Dylan on Twitter. Dylan's at Dylan Von Arks, MHH. I'm at Nick Kendell, MHH. Also, make sure you're following us at Mile High Huddle. We're at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. And as that ticker says there, please subscribe, like, and share. We will be live again next Monday morning. Hope you guys are having a great one. Swink McLeod's in here. Good to see you. Yeah, Shiloh says Champ Bailey was an anomaly and Father Time still caught up with him. Yeah, Darrell Revis. You can look at the great cornerbacks. There's some positions where they kind of age gracefully. Cornerback's not one. Unfortunately, that's doesn't tend to be one. So appreciate it while we're in the now. It's the what was it, Andy? Wish you knew you were in the good old times while you're still there. I've totally butchered the quote, but I wish there was a way to know that we were in the good old times while we're in the good old times. I don't say these are the good old times for the Broncos because the Chiefs monkey has been on our back. But as far as Surtain being great, who knows? As the number one, I think he's going to be good for a bit, but like this special NFL defining player. That's right now. But hold on to it. So appreciate everyone. Have a good one. Dylan, thank you so much for joining us today. Shout out to Eric. Hope he's feeling healthier. I'll check in with him here after the show. You guys check in on Eric as well on Twitter. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. And you guys have a great one. Choose kindness, compassion. Happy Wednesday. Go Broncos.